Welcome to NDNU's podcast, where we bring higher education to life through conversations that matter. Tune in as we unpack current trends, explore big ideas, and spotlight voices from across the Notre Dame de Namur University.
Today, we have a really fascinating topic to dive into. We are exploring how we frame our own identity and how we can better understand ourselves through the language of our dreams. We are focusing our discussion on a great article titled The Vocabulary of Dreams and Dream Interpretation.
It really is a fantastic piece. The author is Helen Marlo. She serves as the Dean of the School of Psychology at Notre Dame de Namur University. She holds a PhD and has over 30 years of experience as a licensed clinical psychologist and a psychoanalyst with the C.G. Jung Institute. She has dedicated her career to depth-oriented mental health care.
Helen brings such an incredible depth of knowledge to this subject. While her main premise is that you can definitely look at your dreams casually, but understanding just a few basic Jungian concepts makes dream work incredibly rich. It transforms it into a highly beneficial tool for personal growth.
I completely agree with that framing. So let us start with the first major theme she introduces. This involves two different ways to interpret a dream: the reductive interpretation and the prospective interpretation. To break that down into plain language, it is essentially the difference between looking backward and looking forward.
That distinction is a great starting point. If we apply the reductive lens, we are looking backward. This means linking elements of your dream to past or present experiences. You are basically searching the dream for old wounds, like past traumas, unresolved psychological conflicts, and what psychologists call complexes.
That backward-looking view helps validate what we have been through. But Helen does not stop there. She introduces the prospective interpretation, which shifts the focus to looking forward. Instead of mining the dream for old wounds, you are looking for clues about your future development. It points toward what Carl Jung called individuation, which really just means developing your full personality.
To make these two lenses easier to understand, Helen provides a very relatable example in the article. Imagine you have a dream where you show up to an important social function. Everyone else is dressed completely normally, but you are wearing dirty, disheveled, threadbare clothing.
That is such a universal stress dream. If we look at that scenario reductively or backward, it frames your identity through an outsider complex. The dirty clothes highlight deep-seated feelings of inadequacy and low self-worth that you have carried from your past.
That interpretation can feel a bit heavy, but this is where the perspective lens changes everything. Helen points out a crucial detail in the dream. No one else at the social function actually notices your dirty clothes. Prospectively, this tells us the identity issue is purely internal.
That detail completely rewrites the message of the dream. Those disheveled clothes might actually represent a raw, authentic part of your true self that you are actively rejecting, but that others would completely accept. So, the dream is showing you that embracing your authentic self will bring you real confidence in the future.
Reframing it that way is incredibly liberating. It perfectly sets up the next two concepts Helen discusses, the subjective level and the objective level. We can think of these as the inside perspective versus the outside perspective.
Let us unpack the subjective level first. This approach looks at dream elements purely as symbols of your inner mind. Helen explains this using the term persona. In simple terms, your persona is just the outer image you present to the world to fit in.
Looking at the dream from the inside perspective, the shame you feel about the dirty clothes reflects an internal conflict. It is a clash between the rigid social standards of your persona and your true, vulnerable self.
She also brings up the concept of displacement here. Displacement is when you take real-life feelings and transfer them onto a dream object. For example, if trying to fit in makes you feel emotionally messy or tired in waking life, your mind displaces those exhausting feelings onto the literal dirty clothes in the dream.
That is a brilliant way for the mind to process stress safely. Now, balancing that internal view is the outside level, which is the outside perspective. This lens focuses on the literal outer world, actual people, actual places in real, tangible events.
That outside perspective brings us back to reality. If we apply the objective lens to our dream, The threadbare clothes might actually highlight literal social class differences or cultural differences between you and your real-world social group.
The dream forces you to look at your actual surroundings. It brings awareness to real-world feelings of inferiority that need to be evaluated in your waking life, rather than just treating them as psychological symbols.
The most powerful part of this entire framework is how Helen emphasizes that these lenses are not mutually exclusive. You do not have to choose just one. They naturally overlap and work together within the exact same dream.
She describes this overlap using a concept called condensation. She notes that while Freud first used the term, it is essential in Jungian analysis. Condensation means that one single dream element, like those dirty clothes, is loaded with multiple meanings at the very same time.
The dirty clothes act like a compressed file of meaning. They represent past struggles with self-worth, a future invitation to be authentic, an internal conflict with your social mask, and literal disparities in your waking environment all at once. Looking at a dream through all four lenses simultaneously gives us a beautifully rich, multidimensional framing of our identity.
It is such a comprehensive way to approach our inner lives. To summarize our core takeaways, understanding the vocabulary of dreams gives us a profound tool. Whether we are looking backward at our past, forward to our future authenticity, inward at our symbolic conflicts, or outward at our literal social realities, we gain incredible insight into who we are.
It provides a wonderful roadmap for personal development. Thank you to everyone for tuning in as we explored Helen's work on this topic.
Thanks for joining us on the Notre Dame de Namur University podcast, where higher education meets real-world insights. If you're passionate about helping others, explore NDNU's School of Psychology programs designed for aspiring professionals who want to turn that passion into a meaningful career. Learn more at ndnu.edu or call 650-508-3600. Classes are enrolling now. See you next time.